Today we're turning this beautiful cotton into some gorgeous log cabin towels. Let's get started. Hi everyone, it's Steph and welcome to another video. Log cabin is one of those patterns that is timeless and classic, just like the houndstooth. I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing you the pattern, and again it's one of those really deceptively simple patterns that look complicated yet sophisticated, that are actually super easy. Here you can see in the warp along the top, it's just alternating colours in slot and hole, and then it swaps to two colours next to each other in the slot and the hole, and then again alternating. This is then repeated exactly in the weft. Here I'm just showing you how simple changes can actually change the look of the log cabin, so you can customise how it looks. Here you can see that if I put the two reds together and then the next colour change, I can actually put the two ivories together. That changes the look as well, and whatever way you choose, it's totally up to you and what look you prefer. The one you're looking at now is probably the one that you'll see elsewhere, but personally I feel like the stripe colour changes look better when you keep it to one colour, as in putting the two reds together for each colour change, and I think it gives it a more even and polished appearance, but that of course is a personal preference. Here are some other colour choices that you may want to consider if you were going to make these for yourself. The colours I've chosen for this project is ivory and cayenne. And cayenne is like a cross between a burnt orange and a red, and it's just such a pretty colour. And these two colours together just look so lovely. The length of the warp is 1.9 metres or 76 inches, which just happens to be the length of my dining table. And this will give me two towels of about 80 centimetres each, or 31.5 inches each. I'll be using my 10 dent reed on my 60 centimetre or 24 inch loom, and the weaving width in the reed is 55 centimetres, which is just under 22 inches. To start the warping, I'm doing a cayenne border, so just 3 loops through the first 3 slots and the last 3 slots of the cayenne, and that'll just give it a nice crisp border. The other great thing about my version of the log cabin is that warping is exactly the same as if it wasn't a log cabin. So you can see here that we pull through 1 loop in ivory, the next slot 1 in cayenne, then 1 in ivory, etc. And then we do 2 loops next to each other of the cayenne together after we've done 4 of the ivories and 4 of the cayenne. So it actually makes it super easy for warping up. There's no special instructions. The threading will be a little bit different, but I'll show you what that looks like later. So with warping done, I'm just checking to make sure that everything has been warped correctly and there's no missing slots or doubled slots, which is better off fixed now than later. Everything seems to be fine, and the easy way of looking at it is just making sure there's 4 alternating ivories followed by a double cayenne. Now I can unhook my apron rod from the heddle and unclamp my loom, and then wind on just a little bit so I can pop my brown paper separators in, and then wind directly on towards the pegs. I secured the warp just in groups using a simple overhand knot. Then with the first group, I'm just snipping all the loop ends to get ready for threading. The best way to describe threading is thinking about the holes and the slots separately. So in the first group, you can see the number 2 if you're looking left to right. Number 2 are the holes, and you can see that there's the cane colour in all of the holes and then the ivory colour in all of the slots as number 1. And then when you swap, you're doing the cane colour in the slot and a hole next to each other. And then in the next group, you can see all of the number 2s, they are the holes and they are the ivory colour, and all of the slots as number 1s, which is the cane colour. And you'll be able to see what this looks like as I'm threading. As I'm threading, I'm also knotting the ends as I go. So I grab a group of 8 threads and then knot the ends with the knots roughly around the same length across each group of 8 threads. Once threading and knotting is done, it's time to lash on. So using some scrap yarn, that's around about 5 widths of your loom, tie one end to your apron rod and wind up about half of the length into a simple yarn butterfly. Then grabbing each group, I divide it in half, drop the scrap yarn through the top and around the bottom of the apron rod, and then continue across until everything is lashed on. I usually like to tighten up a little bit as I go as well. Once that's done, I strum the warp at the back and see if I can pick up any slack areas where I need to even up the tension. So remember, the tension doesn't need to be rock hard, it just needs to be even across your warp. And the more even you can get it, the easier your weave will be. Also, a bit of a tip, pay particular attention to your selvage warp threads because they're the ones that will help you get a nice neat edge. The last part of the setup is spreading your warp. To do this, I like to do 3 picks of scrap yarn without beating, and then beat those 3 picks down nice and firmly, making sure that you've got a nice straight line down the bottom. Then repeat and do another 3 picks without beating, and then beat those 3 picks down together again, and that's usually all I need to do to spread my warp. Now for the fun part, weaving. Always the best part for me. Weaving the weft is really simple. We just exactly copy the warp. So we do 1 pick of cane, 1 pick of ivory until we've done 4 of each, then 2 picks of cane, and then repeat. And that's all we need to do for this beautiful classic pattern to appear before our eyes, with nothing more than clever placement of colour and plain weave. I'm just using a cardboard tube from some wrapping paper to cover my weaving and the knots, and that will protect the weaving as it goes onto the back beam. To measure and make sure that I know where the first towel ends and the second towel begins, I'm just using a tape measure and a quilting clip, and that will tell me where I can place the scrap yarn to mark the end of the first towel and the beginning of the second. To separate the towels, I do 2 picks of scrap yarn, which makes it a little bit easier when I'm ready to cut them apart. For neat edges and perfect colour changes, that will depend on whether your outer thread is in a slot or in a hole. If it's in a hole, then your working yarn goes over the other colour, and on the other side, if it's a slot thread, the working yarn goes under your second colour. This is what it looks like. At the end of your weave, sometimes your tension can be a little bit wonky, and if, like this one here, I've got quite a few loose threads, an easy fix, I just have these relatively heavy S hooks that I hang over the back, and that helps to keep those warp threads workable. Also, towards the end, your shed may start to get a little untidy. The easiest fix for that is to pop your heddle in the up position and then slide a pickup stick or a spare shuttle or a piece of cardboard behind the heddle, and that will actually help to tidy up those untidy sheds that you get towards the end of the weave. It will make your shed a little narrower but very neat, and it's better to have a narrow, neat shed than to have a wide, messy one. That helps to eliminate the risk of skips and untidy weavings. I've now got to 80 centimetres on the second towel, so I'm going to finish by putting in 4 picks of scrap yarn, and that just helps to secure the edge of the weaving through the wet finishing process and stops it from unravelling. Then I'm going to snip off small groups of threads and knot them, just using an overhand knot down close to the scrap yarn, and then I'm ready to pull the weaving from the loom. And here is what it looks like straight off the loom. So beautiful. The wet finishing process will shrink the yarn and close up all of those little holes that you can see. To wet finish, I just pop this straight into my washing machine on the delicate cycle with a little bit of dish soap, and the dish soap just gets rid of any machine oils from the manufacturing process of the yarn. Then I pop it straight in the dryer so it's all pre-shrunk and ready to be sewn into beautiful towels. I grab the towels straight out of the dryer, and while still warm, I like to give them a really good iron. I've gone back to using my bigger iron because I just think it does a better job. There is a little bit of tracking, but not very much tracking in this set of towels, which I'm kind of glad about because I didn't want anything to take away from the beautiful log cabin pattern. As I'm ironing, I'm also going through and just snipping off any of the tails, and then we're ready to sew these up into some gorgeous towels. Let's have a look at the size of the towels now. After wet finishing, remember we started with a weaving width of 55 centimetres or just under 22 inches. After draw-in and shrinkage and wet finishing, it's now 46 centimetres, which is bang on 18 inches. So we do lose a fair bit in shrinkage and draw-in. With take-up and shrinkage for the length, before hemming, we've gone from 80 centimetres down to 71.5, which is just a little bit over 28 inches. To sew these up and stop everything from unravelling, I zigzag up close to the scrap yarn on the beginning and the end of the weave, and in the centre where I've put those 2 picks of scrap yarn, I zigzag either side of those as well. This means that I can cut the towels apart and the edges are already zigzagged, ready to hem, and nothing is going to come unravelled. Basically a stress-free way of cutting your weaving apart. I'm adding in some Handmade with Love fabric strips. This is basically so that the towels can be hung. Also, to hem the towels, I'm folding the zigzagged edge up twice and then just doing a straight stitch across the edge there. I can then add the Handmade with Love fabric strips halfway and sew them into the hem as well. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all, not only just for watching my videos, but for liking them and for leaving me some lovely comments. Making videos is not an easy process, and it's definitely a new trick for this old dog to learn. I think I'm getting better and better as I go, but your encouraging words and constructive feedback really help me to get better and be better at making sure that I provide you with some great content. I 100% acknowledge that I am way behind on my towel videos, but it is the busiest time of year for me, trying to work full time plus have a YouTube channel and also a little bit of a life on the side as well. So thank you for your patience as I work through these videos, and I'll continue to try and bring you the best content that I can. If you wish to support me, the easiest way is to make sure that you watch, like and subscribe to my videos. If you wish to support me monetarily, super thanks are also available. Thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoy the reveal and have a wonderful day.